Welcome back, everyone, to the Moms Like Me podcast powered by Support Now. It is so exciting today to be able to have Emily Bingham on the podcast today. For some context, Emily was one of the first, if not the first, early advocates of what we were building. And when we were first really launching and ideating on all the ways that we wanted to support people during major life moments, we had the opportunity to connect with Emily, and she just got it. And so for me, this is like a full circle moment to be able to give Emily a space to tell more of her story. And also a way for me to say thank you for believing in our vision and the opportunity that we have in serving not just widows, but moms and families in all types of major life moments. So first of all, Emily, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Jordan. I am honored to be here. And yeah, it's been so cool to see you guys grow and evolve and to be where you are now, like celebrating you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, Emily, I often start podcasts with assuming that no one knows your story. No one knows who you are. And while I know you've amassed quite a beautiful following on Instagram, I'd love for you to share more about who you are, your story, kind of what brings you here.
Oh, man. Okay. Let's try to do the Cliff Notes version.
Do the Instagram version.
I know, right? The little bio. Okay. So right now I am currently a spiritual life coach. I'm helping people connect with purpose and their authentic self, really helping them embrace their mortality. I am a mom, a solo mom. I lost my husband, Ian, on March 26th of 2019 to uveal melanoma, a super rare cancer that started out as an eye tumor. He was from Hawaii, which is actually where I connected with one of your teammates. But he ended up, I'm going to say he was diagnosed very early on with cancer. We were college sweethearts. Never thought that he would actually die from the disease. So we ended up getting married. We started a family. His cancer metastasized in 2017. And then for about 15 months, we fought really, really hard to keep him alive. Then he passed away in 2019. My life was completely just flipped upside down, had no idea what the future would look like, was moving through a lot of grief with two young children who were 1 and 3 years old. Luckily, I had an amazing, amazing support system, and I know we can talk about that more, but they really gave me the time and the space to cope with my emotions and focus on just healing, which was so key for me in those early years of grief. And I say years with emphasis because it's not just like a one and done after the first year.
Yeah.
But from there, I kind of turned my pain into purpose and started a grief coaching business to help people literally physically move through their grief, called Move Through. And as I've just followed the synchronicities and my excitement and curiosity, that business has really evolved into really just Emily Bingham coaching and who I am today.
And I think your journey is so emblematic of the grief journey. Like, you are evolving, you're not in the same, you're still grieving, but you're in a different stage of that grief while also evolving as a mom and as a human. And so I love that how you're supporting other people is reflective of where you are in your journey. Because I would imagine, in the early stages of grief, when you, to your point about you kind of bringing purpose to these really sad moments, perhaps you could offer a different perspective early on than where you are today, which is shining a different light and also teaching moms and widows that your grief will never go away. It's just going to look different, and like press on. And I just think that that is so beautiful. I am always stunned when I am reminded by you that your kids were 1 and 3 when Ian died. I know it's probably a fog, as everyone often says, it's hard to remember, you black out.
Yeah.
But you were probably in, and excuse me if I'm incorrect on this, you were probably in a fog.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about your support system. Talk to me, like, how did you actually survive in those early months and maybe even that first year after he passed?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was 100% in a fog. I actually completely dissociated, which is a trauma response where your nervous system just literally kind of shuts down, and it feels like you're existing. It's like you're watching your whole life play out on a movie screen, but you're not really in it. And that's kind of how I felt. So my support system was huge during that time because everything just felt very dreamlike and surreal. And I was also very angry about having to raise these 2 kids alone. I actually felt horrible for admitting that, but the reality was that I didn't sign up to do this alone. I didn't sign up to have 2 kids by myself, and I was pissed. So very early on, we would have our support system in Hawaii looked like friends, community members. Like literally Ian knew everyone. And luckily, I mean, this is why support now is like so important, right? Like there just through the Coconut Express, like everybody knows what's going on. But in other areas where you don't have that community, I can only imagine how isolating and hard and impossible that would be, because we had neighbors stopping by just offering to do the laundry and to clean up our house. They would bring us loads of groceries. They would offer to take my kids so that I could have time alone to just be. I had family members call Social Security for me and deal with like all of the paperwork and all of the to-dos and logistics that come along with loss. And so having that immense like web of support really just gave me the freedom to focus on me and to fill my cup so that I could then do my best to support my 2 also grieving kids at the time.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think those examples that you gave are so important because it oftentimes is the day-to-day things that most people don't even think about as being like major, major obstacles to kind of keep moving and keep going, that you're dealing with emotion. And that means that even the simple things like getting groceries or taking out the trash, like all of those things become so much more challenging to actually complete. Because I would imagine it sounds like just getting out of bed feels like an accomplishment when you're that just overwhelmed. And I am curious, like, were you surprised, as you look back, were you surprised at how your body responded to the loss, given that he had been sick? You know, like, I'm sure as you look at it, it's like you knew he was sick and you knew it wasn't good. And yet when it happened, it was so debilitating. As you reflect back on that, I'd love to just kind of hear how you analyze that version of yourself.
Yeah, it is kind of funny because like in hindsight, I mean, Ian had been diagnosed with cancer since he was like 24. He was so young. But I think because we were just so wildly optimistic and slightly in denial, I think a lot of us do deny the fact. I mean, we know like kind of loosely in our consciousness that we're going to die one day. But we never think, you know, we think if it's going to be old. We're going to be old, we're going to be our family, our loved ones. So to all of a sudden get a cancer diagnosis and to actually think, wow, like my life could be like literally cut in half. It's like your brain almost doesn't let you fully accept that. At least it didn't for Ian and I. And so it's like there was this cancer diagnosis looming, yet we just didn't want to look at it. And we didn't. And we kind of denied it. We stayed really optimistic. We kind of subscribed to the storyline that we would beat this. And so although he was fighting cancer for a very long time, when he actually died, it did kind of come as a shock because I think we were so focused on survival that we didn't even take a moment to actually process what was happening right in front of us. And honestly, Jordan, that's like one of my biggest regrets is that we weren't able to accept the fact that Ian would be gone. And what would that mean for me and the kids? We never even really cried together and like felt the gravity of saying goodbye because we just were unwilling to accept that he could actually die.
I was just about to ask that question around like, knowing what you know now, how would you have handled maybe even the last couple of months, whether that's emotionally or even logistically, how like as you look back on that?
I mean, it's so hard because I'm such a different person. I think the fact that it happened, that Ian actually died, is what forced me into a new appreciation for life, a new realization of the impermanence of life, that you know, tomorrow is never guaranteed and that things can change in an instant. But I don't know if I could have received that message at the time. Like, I hope now with my work, I can share and tell people like, hey, like, wake up. This isn't guaranteed. And so have the conversations now. Tell people what you want to say, that you love them, that you're grateful for them. There's so many positive changes that we can make in our life right now by embracing the certainty that we're going to die and then the possibility that it can happen whenever.
Yeah.
We don't control that.
When you now meet with new widows, or when you have in the past met with new widows, what are some of the most common themes that you see from them? And I ask that question because I think that especially young widows, it feels so rare even though it's not impossible for it to happen, right? It happens every day. Every day, young people lose their lives either, in an expected fashion or an unexpected fashion. And I think that there's such shock that radiates throughout a community that they don't know how to interact. They don't know, they can't empathize because it seems just so wild that it could happen. Kind of explain to me a little bit more, when widows, and you've seen widows, what are the things that they're struggling with? What are the things that they are being challenged with, whether that's emotionally or logistically? And I ask that again from the perspective of someone that wants to arm communities and supporters with an empathy so that they can meet those widows where they're at.
Absolutely. Widows will come to me in all different types of circumstances. I would say if I'm working with a younger widow, especially one with kids, one of their main pain points is that they don't have any help. And so number one, what I always tell them is get help. Like, you need to stabilize your foundation and find other people who can take your kids, who can take tasks offhand. So it's like, let's focus on your external environment so that you can then focus on your internal one. But if you don't have that stability and that safety net, you're never going to be able to actually get into your emotions, which is kind of the second part of the equation. A lot of widows who I work with tend to judge themselves for the feelings that come up with grief. They're really angry and they don't know how to express their anger because we've been conditioned to think that anger is a bad emotion. They judge themselves for feeling depressed and sad, and they also really feel like they should be done with their grief a lot sooner. So I think for friends and supporters, one thing to help a griever or to remember is that there's no such thing as a good or a bad emotion, and that often grievers, what they need is not someone to cheer them up, not someone to fix them, but someone who can sit with them in the pain and be that shoulder to cry on. Be there to just witness and hold space without needing to fix or throw them a self-help book. Just be in it and help them lean into this horrible thing that happened.
I want to pause you there for a second. One of the things I've heard the most common from moms everywhere is just how difficult it is to ask and receive help. How do you coach someone on that when the natural reaction is no, I'm fine, I've got it. They want to put their guard up so fast.
Right. I think that's another. I mean, we could do a whole podcast on this, but I think that's all internalized patriarchy around just we as women feel like we're a burden if we're asking and not able to take care of ourselves, and then just the receiving end of that as well. What I would say to someone is just show up. Don't take no for an answer, honestly. Just show up and do, because we have so many of these beliefs about ourselves around why it's wrong to ask, or how we're a burden, or how we're lazy and not capable if we're not doing it by ourselves. So right. I think for the supporter, and then I think for someone who is asking help, I try to just make them aware of those beliefs and why they exist in the first place. A lot of them go back to childhood too. Were you a child who asked for help and help was never given to you? Were you, told to be seen, not heard? There's a lot of the patterns that we have as adults often stem from childhood as well. So just helping bring awareness to those, and then slowly helping them cultivate safety and trust that it's okay to receive and to ask.
Yeah. Emily, how would you describe the phase of grief that you're in now?
So I'm absolutely in utter acceptance of Ian's death. I don't feel like it's the last phase of grief. I don't think they're linear. Just yesterday and today, I was crying so much. His death anniversary is coming up in a month. I'm not quite sure when this will publish, but it's still there. There's still sadness. There's still frustration. The other night, I was like, God, I'm so over doing this alone. I still get frustrated. But there's a healthy level of duality that I hold, where I can say, yes, I'm, annoyed that I'm still a solo parent doing this on my own. And I am so incredibly proud of this trio that we've built. And I am so grateful that I have this time with them here. And same, when I do feel sadness that Ian's gone, I also, I have a great connection with him in spirit, but I'm just life is just so incredibly magical. The fact that you can go through something so tragic. And I've also found so many gifts in my grief as well. So it's just my grief is constantly held with some frequency of light, like the darkness and the light. And I truly believe that they're all related. So I guess to summarize that, my grief is a lot like duality, holding two truths at once.
Do you have a desire to remarry and to fall in love again? Or is that something that you don't feel yet ready for? Because I think, again, that's another question that people are curious about is like, how do you move forward? Should I move forward? The guilt of moving forward. And I know it's different for everyone, but I would love to hear kind of where you are, because I think that might inspire others as well.
Totally. So I'm going to just give you a little progression because I think I hope people can feel seen in my experience of saying this. Early on, I wasn't consciously doing this, but I was very much trying to fix my situation by finding a man to kind of just like plug in the place of Ian. And I would say that I did that up until literally my recent breakup, which was last fall.
Wow.
So yeah, like when I really can look back and look at my core motivation for dating, and that, there was loneliness. I was desiring intimacy. I was desiring connection, but like really the forcing and trying to make a relationship work was really about like this image of family that I wanted to recreate. So I am finally in a place right now where I am a whole family of 3. I do not need a man to complete us. One day, if it's right, if it's aligned, if it feels like true soulmate love, which is the love that I am 1000% subscribing to, like I'm not settling for anything less, then yes, sure.
Yeah.
But like right now in this moment, I'm really just trying to cultivate this like badass family of 3 that we are. And I'm also just like dating for fun on the side. We're like no strings attached because I'm a human. I crave that. I crave intimacy. I crave connection. It's fun. But I'm very like clear. I'm trying to be as clear as I can and honest with myself about what my intentions are in regards to dating.
Well, and again, I think it's so healthy, as you know, to like label that and to be able to say, like, this is where I'm at. These are the mistakes that I feel like, maybe not mistakes. Mistakes sounds like too negative, but like these are experiences I've had. Here's what I've learned from this. And therefore, here's how I'm going to approach life moving forward. How has the relationships with your kids evolved in your own transformation?
Oh, man. It's hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Like, I feel like the 3 of us are so close and we have such a unique relationship, but like, it's hard because they demand a lot of attention from me. And I try to be very real. I just say, look, guys, there is one of me. Most families do have 2 people, 2 parents. That's why I asked for help from Jamma and Jampa. That's why I have a friend who lives in the basement and I call her my sister wife. Because I'm like, that's why I have help around the house, right? Mom can't be available to you 100% of the time. Most of the time, this is a shared responsibility. It doesn't mean that I don't love you. It doesn't mean that I don't want to spend time with you, But so I try to be really honest about the situation because I felt really guilty about not being able to be with them all the time. But what I've discovered is that I really need to fill my cup so that I can be, like pour into them from a place of abundance as opposed to lack. Because then I'm able to be that much more present and in tune with them in the moments that I do have.
Well, and think about it, like even moms that with, perfectly healthy relationship spouses, it's already hard, right? Moms never feel like they can give 100%, whether that's going to every game or going to every school performance. And then emotionally, right? It's being mom means it's very taxing because you have to take care of your emotions and then you're taking care of your children's emotions. Now you take away that additional support system, becomes even more challenging because there's trauma there that you also have to recover from.
Totally. And I want to make it sound all doom and gloom because it's not. We also have like amazing times together. And I think what's cool about our relationship, if Ian were alive, we wouldn't be having these like incredibly profound conversations around the afterlife and existence and spirituality and what it means to hold duality. Like I'm teaching them that they can be sad that daddy's gone and grateful that we're all here together at the same time. Like these are lessons that I didn't learn until, a third of my life is more than that is gone. Right. So I think our relationship is, I feel like we're all in this like crone, wise, sage era because of what we've been through. And that's really unique. And I definitely treasure that.
Well, and I think women like you, moms like you, really are trailblazers in this conversation around mental health and the conversation around duality of emotions and these terms, mental health, even in the the parenting terms of really meeting your kids where they're at from a gentle parenting point of view. We are creating more space for emotions. We are having more open conversations with our kids about those things. Like whether you subscribe to a particular parenting method or not, I think everyone realizes that the world is moving forward in a more transparent way of parents being human, right? For so long, your parents were seen as emotionless and that they had to be strong for you. And sure, to an extent, that is still true, right? But the relationships moms are building with their kids are just different now. And I think it's harder in ways, right? Because we all have to be more vulnerable. It means like having conversations that feel uncomfortable. And how lucky are your kids to be able to go out into the world one day and be prepared to the best that you can be for the fact that life is uncertain. Because that's really, to me, your story is around the turbulence of life and the uncertainty and the fragility. And of course, we don't want tragedy to happen ever. But how fortunate your kids are to have a front row seat and watching you navigate this, because the truth of the matter is when you become an adult, there are no guarantees in anything that you're going to achieve certain things, that you're going to find a certain life partner, that your kids are going to be healthy. Like that's a part of life that they get to kind of begin to understand so that they're more prepared for the real world.
Absolutely. Yeah, it all just is.
It just
we subscribe to this idea of what we think our life is going to look like and what it should be. And I honestly believe that is the source of so much suffering.
Yeah. I think it's so beautiful. And again, I'm so impressed with the evolution of the services that you've provided from, again, direct, widow grief support into more of this like spiritual healing. I want to give you an opportunity to share more about what that is and honestly where people can find you if they feel like they're a good candidate or maybe they know someone that could be a good candidate for what you're offering.
Yeah, absolutely. The pivot into spirituality has been recent for me. And I think once you have an earth-shattering experience like the loss of a loved one, you do tend to look for this like higher narrative around existence and life. And so that is where I'm at in my own journey. And that's how I'm guiding others into a relationship with the divine and to like higher questions around how do you want to make the most of this precious time that we have here. So the work that I'm offering right now is called YOLO. You only live once. I don't know what rapper coined that. I need to find out. But
it's amazing.
YOLO is all about helping people really face their mortality and engage with death so that they can look critically at their life and ask some tough questions. Am I proud of the life I'm living? Am I, how am I showing up in my relationships? Are there things that I want to say? Am I being authentic to myself and living my truth? Or am I living somebody else's? Because once you get to your deathbed, that's when we start to actually like see what our life was actually about. So my invitation is for people to look critically at their life right now by confronting the fact that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when that you will die, to bring about positive, meaningful change in their life.
Gosh, there's like so many ways to extrapolate that, like even at the beginning of this, before we started recording, when we were talking about work, it's like all of these things are related and around purpose and how are you living? And are you really filling your time with the things that give you joy and versus like looking at it from an external point of view? How is this going to be perceived? Because so many people go through life for other people and not for themselves.
And that's, you hit it right there. You said, how are we spending our time? And that's what it is. Time is the only true currency. We think that it's money because money is like the energy of currency and like how we get things, right? How we move through life. But time is really the only finite asset. And once you die, you're not taking it with you, right? It's the money with you. So I really do believe that it just comes down to that.
Will you also please share your Instagram handle or where they can, again, go to find out more about YOLO, again, or just you in general?
Sure. So I am basically everywhere. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube now, and everything is under I am Emily Bingham. And the YOLO website will be dropping soon. So just find me on Insta and we'll share more.
So great. Emily, it's so great being with you. So great reconnecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. And like you alluded to earlier in the conversation, with Support Now, like our dream is to support families and moms that are going through these unexpected tragedies in all the ways that matter, whether that's money, meals, lend a hand is what we call it inside the platform. So I appreciate, again, you seeing our vision and believing in us, and then for allowing us to share your resources with our community to hopefully inspire them along their journey. And just always am cheering for you, from the sidelines.
Thank you so much, Jordan. I am honored to be a part of Support Now's journey, and I hope that I can do more, and just celebrating you guys so much.
Thank you.